Hello and welcome to Toy Polloi 2. Now in today's video we're going to be doing a little bit of repairing, which is something I would normally show over on Toy Polloi, but as this is involving the mascots for Toy Polloi 2, I thought I would share it here. As fans of Toy Polloi 2 you'll be well aware of the mascots that I have for this channel. On the right we have Subatomic Man and on the left we have Half Vader. Now poor old Half Vader, when I put him together I didn't really do that good a job on him. I sort of very basically attached his right arm and it sort of worked. So today what I thought we'd do is take that arm off and try and reattach it so it's a little bit better and a little bit more poseable, because currently it doesn't really work that well and he's a very limited sort of mascot. I can't do a great deal with him. He barely stands up, mainly because he's got one leg, but you can't even pose his arm. So let's see what we can do to improve that arm. So this is Half Vader. He is missing one arm and one leg. He's also suffered some really serious damage to his helmet. At some point this was all smashed to pieces, so I've stuck it back together with plastic weld. He's a very sorry looking Darth Vader, but I really love him just because he's such a sort of well played with toy. I even made him his own cape, which is slightly different to the normal capes that you get on Darth Vader, because he's got an elasticated band around the neck. The original ones are supposed to be held on with a bow, but I thought elastic worked a lot better. It means that it's much easier to take off. You can just sort of hook this over his head, even over his particularly large Darth Vader type helmet, and just unhook it. I say it's easy. If only his helmet was a little bit smaller. There we go. So we can now access the main toy. Now when I put this guy together, obviously he's only got one arm. The original figures, the way the arms were held together is that the arms are attached across the middle. There's a rubber band that goes between the two arms, and that is how they are held on. So if you're missing one arm, you can't actually attach the other arm. So what I ended up doing was drilling a small hole just up here, just where the sort of two parts of Darth Vader are joined together, and threading a piece of elastic through it. You can just about see that there. But the problem is the elastic's just too floppy, so you can't really pose his arm. So we are going to remove that today, and I'm going to try and use some cable ties. I think cable ties might form a sort of stiffer joint. We'll have to modify that hole a bit just so it's a bit more space for a cable tie to go through. But I think a cable tie may make it that his arm is poseable. It's just too floppy, and it doesn't matter how many times or how tight I try and get this elastic. You can see it's still a bit loose. I just can't get this arm to stay in place. So let's remove this elastic and see if we can do a better job with cable ties. I'm just going to cut the old elastic with a pair of plastic nippers, just because I've got them to hand. I think if I cut that about there, this should unping, and the arm I think will just fall off. I can't remember how I attach this. Oh, there we go. So that's that off. Oh, there's a knot there on the elastic, so that's why that's not coming out. If I grab that there, can pull that out. No, you can't even pull that out. I've tied so many knots in this elastic. Let me cut that there. And pull that out. That's like, oh, there we go. So yeah, his arm is off, and you can see the original construction of this is there's a loop on one arm here, you've got a loop on the other arm, and then there's supposed to be a rubber band or something in between. The way I normally fix these would just be to put a cable tie like that between the two arms and tighten it up, and that forms a really nice sort of strong fixing, and it means the arm is quite poseable. Well, let's just try this and see if this fits through the hole. I can just about see the hole I've made there. I think I did it fairly small, so it may not fit. Oh no, look at that, the cable tie does actually fit through that hole, so we can go ahead and try and reattach this using these smaller cable ties and see what happens. But this cable tie is not long enough, so I need to find a longer one. Well, I've searched through my bag of cable ties. I don't appear to have a longer one. I've got these sort of multicoloured thin ones, which is what I was sort of showing you earlier. And I've got this bag of really big thick cable ties, which is what I would normally use for attaching a Darth Vader arm. So I'm going to have to resort to just attaching two of these smaller ones together. With cable ties, you know, you thread them through like that, but if you've got two of them, you can just thread two together. So if I do that, you can see we've now got one longer cable tie, and I'm going to use that to thread through this toy. Shouldn't be too hard to do, so we can thread that end through the armhole like that, and then I can put both of these through here. I've got the problem, how do I thread that through? Can I do it all from one side? Can I actually thread that end through the hole I've made? I probably can do, because it's a fairly large hole, and cable ties are fairly sort of easy and stiff to move about. Let me see if I can just line this up. I'm hoping I can thread it through the hole from the other side. Well, it's not as straightforward as you would imagine, certainly with the camera in the way. I think I'm going to have to do this off camera because I just can't line that up, but I'm sure it's possible. Let me just give this a go off camera and see if we can thread that through. It is possible if you do it from this way round. I can now see where the hole is and I can just push that through, line it up. There you go, I've got the cable tied through the hole I've made. Let's push the other end through there. That one should be easier to grab because it's a bigger piece. I've just got my forceps here. Just grab that, pull it through as well. There we go, so I've got both ends of this cable tied through. Now let's join those two together and see if we can tighten this up enough to actually hold this arm in place and make him poseable. So I can tighten this one up and I can see the other end is still poking through. So if I tighten this one up like that, that is now tight here, and I should be able to go to the other end of this by grabbing it with these forceps and pulling that tight. There we go. That feels much better already. Yeah, his arm is now actually stiff on there and I can pose it. Wow, that's made such a difference. The elastic just wasn't the right option. A cable tie was. That is so much better. Absolutely perfect. So I just need to trim off the ends of these cable ties, and half Vader actually has an arm that can be posed again. And here he is all back together. Well, I say all back together. He's half back together because he is half Vader. That's definitely a better fix than the elastic. It's really held firmly. It means that this arm can now be posed and moved properly. I probably should have done this in the first instance, but when I was putting him together, I was doing it very quickly, and elastic was all I had to hand. These cable ties seem like a much better job, and I've just had to drill a small hole through there just to make an attachment. And he's looking fine, and he will do exactly what I need him to do here on Toy Polloi 2, as just being a mascot and essentially standing in the background guarding packages when I am opening them. So hopefully this video has been fun for you. If you've enjoyed it, then make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell to be notified each time I upload a new video, and thanks for watching.